What's going on, guys? I've got a update on the T-Rex trailer. Some good news and some bad news. I'll start with good because that's just what you do. I took it out for a spin today, not connected to the car. I just took the trailer out, drove it around. I had to run some errands, and it drove fine. Pulled behind the car perfectly. I barely even knew it was there. Like total everything, I'm guessing is around 1,000 pounds, so really not so bad at all. But it was so easy to pull. So it was super hot today. Well, super hot for upstate New York. We got pretty close to 80. I think it was about 78, full sun. It was definitely the warmest day we've had so far this year. It was beautiful, awesome day. Still is. So I was a little nervous about the battery pack and heat, so I was really watching that. I had the cooler running the whole time. It actually doesn't drain much on this battery at all. So what I had done in order to move it, I took the solar panel and just tucked everything just up inside here, closed it, locked the lid. I do have a larger solar panel coming that is going to fit perfectly right in here. It's a slightly different shape, but it's 3 times that one. So that one is 10 watts. The one I got coming is 30 watts. So this one right here keeps up quite nice, but the next one just should be better, and then I won't have any loss. Like the voltage never got below like 12.2 volts on here, even with it closed up in here and the pump running, battery turned on, everything. So that was a really good sign. I really wasn't sure how much energy the pump would use, but it turns out it's really not a lot. But so I did have the cooler, everything going. It got up there a little bit. I haven't really, I haven't used CAN or anything, so I haven't been monitoring the Tesla pack inside the car, so I don't know what temperatures get up to. But I've been keeping track. I have a little spreadsheet that I can post a link to below. But so today, at about 75 degrees ambient temperature, it got up to 33.3 degrees Celsius, which is 92 degrees Fahrenheit. That was the peak. That was the hottest this thing got. And that was with driving around, full sun. Obviously, it's black. So, yeah, that was the hottest. So, I was getting a little nervous about that, but because I wanted to try to keep temperatures around 70 degrees, if possible, inside this. Because I know the 18650 cell just really prefers to be at a 70, 80-ish, ideally, but I've heard of them going over 100. I just wasn't sure. So today was the first trip. So at 75 degrees ambient temperature, I got home and the car was at 39.5 degrees Celsius, and that was with the car off. And if you know anything about the RAV4s, they don't have a temperature management system unless the car is charging or if the car is on. So I felt a little better seeing that was 39 and a half degrees. So I turned the car on so it would cool. But yeah, so I guess really even in full sun, this thing only got up to what would I say, 33.3 degrees Celsius and 92 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's really comparable. It's actually less than what the car itself had. So that was promising. I noticed on my little cooler here, I have a couple little leaks right around this. So I emailed the seller to see if maybe I can return it and get another one or something. But stuff like that happens when you buy the cheaper version. This was, I think, the Chinese version of an American oil cooler, and it was like a fraction of the price. That was $40. So I also might try to go a little bit bigger with the fan, because eventually I'm going to be charging this thing, and when I'm stationary, no air is flowing through it naturally. I might need a little bit bigger one with the fan, so I'm going to work on that next. But yeah, so everything went great, pulled nicely. Let me show you a couple things I did on here for waterproofing. So first, when I put the cover on, I put caulk. It was actually silicone. No, this is, what is that stuff called? Starts with a B. This is what I used. Butanol or something like that. Yeah, anyways, so that's what I use. It still stays a little rubbery, so that means I can remove the lid, which I'm getting to, because unfortunately I'm going to have to. And that seems to be the same kind of stuff that Tesla used when they made this pack. So I use that, and then I have a silicone sealant that I used in a couple other areas. So I used this. There's 2 rubber seals around here, so I used it in there, and then I used it all around that, and a couple different layers, a couple different seals. So it should be pretty weather tight. And then this guy, underneath here, if you remember from the previous videos, there was just a little valve, and it was actually a check valve, basically a pressure release valve of some sort. So I unscrewed it, took it out. You can blow out, but you couldn't blow in, and I just wanted to make sure that no water somehow got in there. So I designed this little snorkel out of what I was 2 or 2.5, or man, I don't remember what I used, but it's just PVC pipe. I cut it at 45. I used PVC cement, welded it together, and then it fit perfectly. I think it's 1.5 inches. Fit perfectly over a ring that was right there. And then I had cut slices into here, so if in case any water somehow got through up into here, it wouldn't just puddle up in here. So I have slices in here so that the water can trickle out. And I I hot glued it on. It seems really solid. I'm sure I could kick it or punch it and get it off, but it does seem like it's on there pretty good. So I didn't want to go all the way around and seal it off completely. So I put a couple dabs on the inside, pushed it on, and then put a couple dabs on the outside here. Seems to hold really well, and then water should be able to trickle out in this little area, and then another one on the back side. Still not positive about this guy, but it seems like a manual bleed valve, so I'm really not too worried about that one. And then back here, they have, so Tesla has, I think I mentioned this in a previous video, Tesla has this pop valve patented design that you can't get to it on the inside, but it can release pressure this way. So I didn't want any water getting in that way, in there. So I took a 2-inch just rubber 90 and cut it pretty much exactly in half, and it fits right over top of that. And I cinched it on already over there, and it does have like these grooves here. So again, if any water makes it through into this side, up into there, and somehow if it does puddle, it's just going to run right out here. So it's not going to puddle in here and then go inside. So that's my last weatherproofing thing, and then I should be good. I really don't think I'm going to have any water issues. So the exciting and not so exciting part that happened today is so when I got home, my voltage for this pack, the T-Rex pack, and the car were almost identical. They were both 330 something volts. This pack I think was about 331. That I think was about 337, but I just got so excited that I saw 330 that I decided to connect them. Everything was going great. They were balancing. I had this backed up this way, and I had them connected, and I had my clamp meter right here. And at first it started off around 45 volts. I should have had a peak save, or what do they call it, peak hold on there to see what it initially spiked at. But I didn't think about it, so I was just monitoring, watching it go down. So it went down from 45 amps all the way down to 7 amps, and then the contactors in the pack quit. I just heard them click off. I'm like, oh, well, what's that about? So I thought, is it done? Or maybe it was did it come disconnected? Because I only had, these are the power wires that go to the contactors. I only had them loosely connected right here. So I thought maybe they just came disconnected. So I reconnected it. They kind of clicked for a second and then clicked off again. Turns out the contactors on board don't have economizers built on. And I didn't really think about this, but I guess sending them 12 volts for an hour straight is no good. So after I noticed that, I opened this up and I could smell that they seemed kind of warm. They seemed maybe cooked. So it looks like, and then I felt this area, because the contactors are right there. That area was pretty warm. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to take off the whole lid, take off all that stuff, take off that, and take it all apart, put new contactors in. It's a huge bummer. I mean, I'm glad nothing else happened. When I did connect them, I backed the car up and I had it connected to the trailer just in case I had to quickly just drive this thing right out of the garage. But nothing like that happened. It went great except for the contactor issue. So it seems like it's stuff like this. Something is going to come up at some point, and so far that's the worst thing that's happened. And I guess that's not so bad. But so it looks like I have to take everything off, replace the contactors. I do have these contactors here that are used, so I'm debating whether or not I should. This one looks pretty banged up, but they both are working. So I'm just debating whether or not I should put these in and get it all back together and get it done, or buy new contactors, brand new, unused contactors, because I mean, those, I got them from a guy from China. They were $25 each plus like $7 shipping total. Like it was 60, I think $61 total. So it was a great deal, and if they were more accessible, I definitely would have no issues using them. I have two others that I use inside the car. So my other two are right there, and they're working great. So all four of these have economizers built in. The one in my car I've given 12 volts to for hours. It's been fine. I just did not think about how these did not have economizers, so that kind of sucks. But yeah, so I got to decide if I'm going to put these in there or try to find some other ones here in the States. It just sucks because here in the States, brand new ones are going to cost, I mean, $50 to $150. I mean, they're significantly more expensive. But I definitely want to get this all put back together as quickly as possible. I do have a big trip planned that I want to use this on. It's end of June, so about a month. I'm going to be taking this with my Rav4 and driving from Ithaca, New York to Indiana, actually Chicago O'Hare, and then pretty close by that to a wedding. So I'd like to have a chance to test it out and get everything back together, so I'd like to get some contactors in there as soon as possible so I can do some more testing. But yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. Pretty good day, except for obviously the contactors, but everything else is pretty good. I'm still waiting on some boards. There's another Rav4 owner who's designing some boards that I guess are going to control CAN. Again, that's not my thing. I've been doing all this stuff manually, triggering the contactors. That does actually lead me to this. I am powering up the BMS, So in theory, the BMS is working. Oh yeah, there it is. I think I just turned it off. So in theory, everything's working. You can see lights on the board flickering. Where are they? They're actually not flickering right now. I'll have to look into that, but oh, there it goes. There it is. There it is. You can see one there, and you can see one of the modules in here. One of the Tesla modules is right underneath this. So I did notice earlier that I could see in there, and a light was blinking on it. But you can kind of see the contactor. There's one right there. There's another one right here. So close, yet so far away. But so, anyways, I mean, the BMS, everything should be working. It's just without Matt's CAN board. I don't know. I mean, I can't verify temperatures. I have to manually turn on the heating or cooling, and his board should do all that automatically. So it'll be definitely great to have. That'll be the last piece, and then this thing will be done. But for now, I can at least get it working and just watch everything manually. Temperature-wise, what I was doing is I have these little electronic temperature switches, and I was taking the lead and putting it in the coolant and then circulating the coolant around. So I was getting the temperature of the inside of the pack that way. So I'm not actually getting the cell temperatures, but I was getting the temperatures of the coolant, which, I mean, I think is probably pretty close to cell temperatures, but of course it could be different, it could be slightly off. But once I get that CAN board, which will hopefully be soon, I will have a lot more automatic stuff set up, so I won't have to monitor everything out here myself. So, but that's where I'm at. So tonight I'm probably going to take the lid back off again and do some research, see if I could find some other contactors. If you guys happen to know of any contactors, feel free to let me know. But I definitely would like to get some new ones in there if I can. But I guess that's about it. Have a good day, guys.